Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers he plucks. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about whether or not the male privilege is... I said the male privilege. The male privilege.
Let's say that in there.
Well, then I got distracted when you go, this is Dating Kinda Sucks. Such an asshole. And I wanted to comment immediately. Okay, let's just start before I go.
Start over with saying this is Dating Kinda Sucks.
Instead of the male privilege is real, damn it. Okay, hang on. I'll just say this week. This week, we'll be talking about whether or not male privilege is real. Enjoy the show.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications as well.
Did they just see all of that?
They did. Oh, they 100% did. You know,
because Adam's not editing it out. Yes.
I don't know. They see everything. They see all the uncut raw stuff, like my recorder balanced on a thing of mayonnaise.
You can't see the mayonnaise though.
I'll show. There it is. Yeah.
We're high tech here.
Oh yeah.
And this is the episode where Adam will go on a rant for an hour and you'll just sit and enjoy. That's what the intro should have been.
That's what it should. Yeah, that's what it been. This will be the ranty episode. Well, yeah,
with some good
let's
points, yeah.
You know, we're gonna get into it, the topic on the second half, of course. So you get to listen about our lives first, and then we'll talk about whether or not we think male privilege is real. Spoiler alert: yes, it fucking is. So like, if you're just waiting for that, just like let's make sure you're aware that it is real. And if you're like, oh, maybe he's gonna like validate my whiny male opinions, no, I'm not going to. So let's just talk about what's going on in our personal lives.
Simp, no.
You simp. I know. It's the most unoriginal bullshit ever. TikTok has been crazy, but yeah, that's one of the biggest insults apparently. That's all they can think of. They're little smooth-brained morons, as they call people simps. If you're talking about supporting women, you're immediately simping.
God damn.
But
anyways.
Speaking of simping, I was recently in Kentucky, and I think last we spoke, I was in Memphis, right? That was the last time.
Yeah, we were in Memphis. Yep.
I drove to Kentucky, and I went out with while I was there. I went for dinner, and then lunch the day that I left with codename Dirty Dancing. Who
I love how these people just keep resurfacing, and every year I think I like that you have a good relationship with her though.
Yeah. We still get along. We're close. We're close, and I tease her all the time. Like I always will make jokes online, Facebook, other social media about. Yeah, of course I'd like to see you. I always want to see the person who broke my heart, and I'll joke with her about it. Yeah, and she finds it funny most of the time. For those of you who
she's married.
Yes, those of you who might not know, because if you haven't listened to those episodes or whatever, she was someone I went out with who was a sea lion trainer, and while she was on the road, we agreed not to really be serious, but we're just going to see how things went. And while she was doing that, while she was on the road and we were just taking it easy, she found somebody, and over the course of like 3 months, got engaged to him, and then shortly thereafter got married to him, and so now she's married and living up here. So we went out for dinner the first night and had a great time, just catching up on everything, and then went out for lunch before I left, and that was very nice, and it was good to see her. I always love talking to her. Like it's good. I'll tell you what, I'm glad we didn't continue our relationship, because she's a good friend. Yeah, she's a good friend, which a relationship, you would hope that you would also have a good friendship, but beyond that, she also has 5 dogs and 5 cats. Wait. A bird and 2 pigs and a tortoise, I think.
Was she living in a trailer at one point and had the dog? Is that the same person?
Yes, yeah, because
that's the dog
trailer.
story.
Like she had there was a mobile home that she had, because that's what she would take on the road when she would go do the sea lion shows, and she had 2 dogs there. But one of them was like this little tiny thing that she called tiny because it really was just like this little bundle that was barely alive. It finally died. I mean, it was of old age because that thing. Like I told her she should put it out of its misery. Like that was like 3 years ago. Like
I
the
was
fact
gonna
that it
say
hung
this is a
on,
while.
yeah, and the fact that it clung to life for that long was amazing because that thing was just like it was constantly like just shaking and like it was insane. I was afraid I was gonna roll over on it in bed one night and just crush it because it would climb up in the bed between us like when we were sleeping. So because it liked to sleep on the piles of laundry that she kept on her bed, basically. But yeah, so now she is becoming a true animal hoarder, and they have property for that and all that. I'm like, well, you know what? It's good that you two found each other. He has the property and space for you to have as many animals as you'd like. Whereas if you'd stay with me, then we'd both be homeless now and just living out of a car
With 5 dogs?
with all of your animals. I was like, yeah, no, there's no way. I was like, you would have to choose your animals or me in that level. Like that's too many.
And
One,
it's the animals.
yes, yeah, she would definitely choose the animals too.
Mm-hmm.
So but that was fun. We had a good time. And then I went from Kentucky to Cincinnati and stayed with actually a new friend that I met through TikTok, who invited me to crash at her place. And while I was there, I scheduled a meetup, and nobody came.
I didn't even know. Wait, like a dating kind of sucks meetup,
Just a
or
meetup
just
in general.
anybody?
I ended up having like there were like 5 people that were like, oh, I live in there. Like I would totally come out. So I was like, well, here's the date and time. And then each person had something just like weird or random, just like, oh, I had something happen with the family or what, and just like several single person had something different. So I just ended up at the bar by myself, which was fine. It was cool. I got to explore Cincinnati a little bit. And that was really neat, and enjoyed that for a couple nights. And then I went to where I am now, which is Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, I actually just met up with another ex who is,
What the fuck is this? Is this a tour now? The
yeah,
X tour? Where else are
she's
you
also married.
going?
Yeah. So this is pre-podcast X. This is almost like right after I got divorced and was still like figuring out my shit. I remember I went to a party up in Kentucky that a blogger was throwing, and I went with all of the girls. We all went to get pedicures, and I got my toenails painted. And my friend Becky said to me, she goes, I don't know why you get your toenails painted. No woman's going to want to sleep with you with your toenails painted. And someone said, well, he'll just wear socks and shoes so they won't know until it's too late. And she goes, no. I want you to try to get laid while wearing sandals. Showing off your
That
colored
was
toenails.
the goal.
And she's like, I bet you can't happen. And I was like, it's not going to be a problem. Nobody cares about the toenails except you for some reason. Like I promised you it's fine. And then we had this weekend long party, and that night her cousin came into town, and we had a great time. And then her cousin and I ended up sleeping together that night. And then I told her cousin afterwards that Becky had said that, and she's like, "Oh, can we tell her right now? Can we just like tell her that she lost the bet?" Yeah, so it was hilarious. So anyways,
That's wild.
yeah. So her cousin and I became like she flew down to Florida a couple times. I came up to Pittsburgh a couple times, and like one time she and her son came down to Florida. Went to Disney for the week and stuff like that, and it was really fun. But I wasn't in a place for anything. Plus, I wasn't going to move to fucking Pittsburgh, and she wasn't going to move to Orlando. So we just became friends. And so I met up with her and got to meet her, see her son, who's now like almost 16.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, this was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah. Like I said, this was 10 years ago. This was when I was first newly divorced. And it was really fun. So yeah, we went out last night. She and I just by ourselves just went out for drinks, and like we were out way too late, and just like it was great. And then today I went out to lunch with her and her kids, and had a fun time. So it's been a nice little, yeah, like not like, I mean, it's not because they're exes. We just like they happen to be friends who also happen to be exes. But
I was gonna say, is the final stop to visit Amy?
Oh yeah, go to Austin and visit the X with a capital E, capital X. Yeah, no, hell no. We will never be doing that.
Just have to ask.
Can you imagine if I was just
no,
like,
I can't.
we would do a live episode, like a full live. I would just record everything that was happening live if I ever went to see her. Because
why would you do that to yourself? Really,
I don't know,
you
just
wouldn't.
For the listens for the episode basically.
That's still not worth it. Nope.
No, it's not. No. And then I'm leaving here and I'm going to Baltimore tomorrow on Wednesday, the 22nd. And I'll be in the Baltimore area for about a week. And then I'm going to make my way up to Boston. I don't know where I'm stopping on the way. I might be stopping in the Catskills. I'm not sure. And then I'm going to be in the greater Boston area for probably a week or so before I head up towards Vermont. I'm kind of playing it by ear, especially because we've just figured out, I was talking to Sarah about this today, that I have a cousin who has a house in Vermont that said basically, she has the house in Vermont, and she said, I have a house near me that I rent out, that the tenant is leaving October 1st. I'm going to renovate the place, and I don't want tenants there while I renovate. If you want to stay there while I renovate, you're welcome to. And I was like, sure, I'm going to stay there for the winter. That'll be fun. None of us ever really considered the fact that unless it's a furnished house, which doesn't make any fucking logical sense, that I don't have any furniture with me, and she's not going to have any furniture in the house, so I'm not going to have anything. A bed, a chair. I have a small
pots and pans, nothing.
I have a small amount of cooking things, but not a lot. Like, but yes, I don't think I have any pots and pans. I think I have like, I've got like a couple plates and a couple cups that I put just in case I ever needed them, if I ever ended up camping somewhere or whatever. But yes.
You'll be camping inside this empty ass house.
Yes, I can't. This is going to be hilarious. I have blankets and pillows, so I can sleep on the floor if I need to until I buy an air mattress. But yeah, so I'm going to figure out furniture. So this is just going to be a whole adventure. Like I really just want to get to Vermont and just spend my time writing the book and just like hide away in the winter and let the snow come in. But I'm like, no, I have to actually get furniture and like, fucking insane.
The tough life of traveling and being on the road, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think any of us ever thought about the fact that, I don't know. So we'll see. Like I said, I was telling Sarah I might just ransack one of these hotel rooms and just steal everything.
No, he's not going to do that.
I should. Just if you're listening, Marriott, I'm not doing it, I promise. It was stolen by the housekeeping staff after
Oh my God.
So what's going on in your life?
Honestly, not a lot. I can't wait to leave Arkansas. I'm not no shade on Arkansas, but I'm ready.
So 6 weeks is a little too long?
6 weeks, yeah, definitely couldn't live in Little Rock, but I also think that's partially because I don't have my people. You know what I mean? I really miss Master of None. I miss hanging with my friends. I miss having some kind of community of people that I already know, and I don't have that here, obviously. My workout classes, but that's different. So I am excited to go back to Nashville in literally 5 days, but who's counting? And then Master of None and I cannot be in a long distance relationship anymore. But before we move in together, I don't know when we're ever going to have alone time because I'll be staying at my friend's house and then I don't know. So I'm like, when will we have sex? I don't know.
Maybe you should just get a hotel in Nashville for a couple days.
I'm not doing that. That's so expensive. Do you know how expensive it is?
Yes. I've been living in hotels. Yes, I fucking know how expensive it is.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But I think something else that was kind of funny. So right now he's kind of traveling throughout Washington with his family. And I went ahead last night and booked a trip to Portugal for Thanksgiving. And I invited him. I just want to make it clear. I invited him to go.
I like that you have to give this preemptive warning because people are going to be like, leave a negative review like, 1 star. Why didn't she invite her boyfriend to Portugal? That's what they sound like when they leave those reviews.
1 star. Yeah, so I invited him and I basically said, hey, look, my whole thing for Thanksgiving, I know last year was weird because of COVID and everything that we couldn't travel, but I like to travel during Thanksgiving because I get at least 2 days off of Thanksgiving and Black Friday. My new job gives me Wednesday off too, so I'm like, I only have to take 2 days off. I'd like to do a week trip somewhere. Where do you want to go? And he said, well, I'd prefer to have a more traditional Thanksgiving with my family. So you go ahead, plan a trip. If you want to go with friends or whatever, go solo, but count me out respectfully. Right. And I said, okay, that's fine. I would prefer if you went with me, but that's fine, whatever. And so last night I booked everything for my trip to Portugal and I'm going by myself, which I'm cool with. And actually Portugal, after booking everything, it's like one of the safest countries to visit as a solo woman traveler. I'm like, oh, good to know after. I figured I'd be fine.
You looked that up afterwards. Or you found that out afterwards. Yeah.
Well, I think I would have been fine doing solo in Spain too. So I was like, I mean, it's around the same area. I think I would be fine. Anyways, so I was talking to him last night and I was like, yeah, I just decided, what else do I have to do during Thanksgiving? Let's just go ahead and book everything. And he's like, I don't know, spend it with your boyfriend. And like the way that he said that, I was like, are you fucking mad at me? Are you mad? And he's like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just saying, I mean, you could have spent it with me. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, it was a joke. He's like, I already said you're fine and we could do different things, but
1 star. Why doesn't she want to eat turkey with her boyfriend?
1 star. It's you typing with your
like
pointer
this.
fingers. 1 star.
1 star.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited for a solo trip. I don't think that my parents are very happy with it. My dad originally was like, "So is Master of None going with you?" And I said, "Nope." And he goes, "Oh, solo's not going to be very fun." I'm like, "You don't get it, Dad, but okay." And my mom was not as harsh, but similar vibe. That he was going with me, and I'm like, "I don't need a man to go with me."
Right.
And I can just go by myself. And so I just want to normalize more of that. I know there are already so many other solo female travelers out there, and that's literally what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm in even though I'm in the United States, I'm in Arkansas by myself. I traveled around the state this entire month by myself. I didn't die.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But besides that, that's pretty much it. Nothing too exciting here. Just 1 star. She doesn't love her boyfriend.
Yep, basically. Well, that will be good. I'm not a fan of Thanksgiving anyways, and so I'm gonna have to figure once I get up there and figure that out. I'm sure they're gonna do something. My cousin will do something for Thanksgiving, but I might avoid it otherwise. We'll see.
Portugal.
Yeah, no, if I could afford that, I absolutely would. But, I need my passport. I'm sending on the renewal papers, and so it's gonna take like 3 months for me to get it back renewed, I think, or 60 days.
It won't take 3 months, but it does take some time.
I have to have that sent to my parents, and then my parents are gonna have to ship it to wherever I am because you needed an address to send it to. It's hard when you don't have an address. Makes.
I agree with that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have an address, so at least I know when I sign for stuff where the fuck things are going. But
yeah,
another minor inconvenience of living on the road, I suppose.
Yeah. It's not always bad. Although every time I do a new order for Amazon, like if I'm in a new place for an extended period of time, they're always like, "Oh, now you have to re-put your credit card information in," because they're always worried that someone's using my account to get it shipped somewhere else. But yeah, we'll see. Thanksgiving will be interesting. I think our goal for Dating Kind of Sucks is to start. We're gonna take a break for most of December, I think.
That's the holiday plan.
Yeah, basically, probably from pre-Thanksgiving on, or maybe we'll try to do a post-Thanksgiving.
We'll do one at the beginning. Yeah, we'll do probably a post-Thanksgiving and
just
then
to see how Portugal was. I feel like everybody's going to hear about Portugal.
I guess, yeah.
And
unless I get taken, holy shit. No, I'll be.
I almost want to do the Liam Neeson impression without like, I have a particular set of skills, like.
At least I've seen that movie, so I understand the reference.
Oh, that's good. You got that fucking reference. Oh my god. What else do we want to chat about before we take a break and get into male privilege? I wanted to big shout out and thank you to Ken Sanderson and Alexandra L for becoming our new Patreon subscribers. And, yes, thank you very much.
Shout out, yeah.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
And for $5 a month, you can support us as well by going to patreon.com/DKS podcast. And we have bonus episodes. Not every episode. We'll probably try to do it tonight. We'll see. But they'll be usually do bonus video episodes. It's just like unedited. Like we just shoot the shit for 15 minutes to half an hour, and then I stick it up there with no preamble. So.
And you can see Adam recording stuff on a bottle of mayonnaise.
Yes.
Actually, I don't think he'll do that for the Patreon episode, but he is doing it now, and it looks super high tech.
Oh yes, and
with the hotel room in the background, you can see the bed and everything.
Bed behind me, and this chair. By the way, my chair keeps creaking, and I know that you can't probably hear it right now, but Sarah's gonna message me like tomorrow and be like, "You motherfucker, that chair! I could hear it so much. I'm so pissed at you. Fuck that chair." True. Yeah, that's what's
that chair sounds about right.
That chair. In the meantime, by the way, I wanted to say if you are in the Baltimore area, Boston area, anywhere like a kind of New England, and you want to like say hi or meet up or something, just let me know. Feel free to send me a message or DM me on any social media, and I'd be happy to see if it fits in with where I'm going, and meet up somewhere as long as you actually show up. That's.
I was gonna say, don't say you're gonna go and then don't show up. I guess is the.
Exactly. I'm fine with entertaining myself, but it was still a little lonely.
Oh, don't pull the sympathy card.
No, I know. I don't care. And with that, we will be back with the rest of the episode.
I know, Adam, you're aware of this recent TikTok that went viral. And yes, this is going to be a TikTok heavy second half of our episode, but there was a TikTok recently that went viral of this man confronting a group of women who were wearing bikinis at the beach saying that his kids or just kids around shouldn't be seeing pornography out and about and that they should cover up. And the women were just like, then gouge your fucking eyes out if you don't want to look at it. Then don't look, or fuck you, or go away. And this man kept spouting off Bible verses, and it's a really good video. It went viral after being posted on Reddit and everything like that you should go check out. But the point of the whole thing was he was saying they were indecent for being in a bra and underwear or being in a bathing suit. They should be in something more modest or whatever. And they're like, well, you're going to go attack that guy over there not wearing a shirt?
Right.
And he's like, well, he's just in a bathing suit. And they're like, yeah, so the fuck are we? Yeah. Why aren't you attacking all these other men and all these other women on the beach? And he's like, well, it's everyone has eyes and they're all looking at you guys. And she's like, okay, then don't fucking look our direction. So that was just one point of, God, men fucking suck. Why can't women just go out to the beach with their group of friends, sit on the fucking beach in a bathing suit and not be bothered? Why does a man feel compelled to go up to a group of women to say, hey, you're bothering me because of your presence on the beach? Because I highly doubt in any other situation, women would be going up to a man if he was in a fucking thong, bikini, banana, what is it? A banana hammock.
Banana hammock, yeah.
Yeah, even if it was like a thong banana hammock bathing suit, I highly doubt a woman would go up and say, sir, you're very indecent. You should cover up. The chances of that happening are so slim, and that is what is so frustrating for women that a lot of men don't understand.
Yeah, that video is just infuriating to watch, just because they're filming him as he's just indignantly saying that there are Christian people around and that God blah blah blah. And like you said, I love that one of the girls is like, well then gouge your fucking eyes out, dude.
He's like, I'm atheist.
Yeah, I'm atheist, but go gouge your fucking eyes. Isn't that what God said? The Bible says that if you can't look, you take your eyes out. And then he didn't have answers for any of this stuff. And then they're like, what should we wear? And he's like, well, like a one piece. And they were like, why? Like we are wearing what is like it's legal? Like what does it matter? And he was just insistent. Now there's a whole backstory with him too. They started investigating him and found out that he might have actually like assaulted. He was a coach at a camp and he might have assaulted teens and things like that. So there's this whole thing now. But it really is. You're right that a man laying out is not going to have anybody say anything to him, even if he was wearing a banana hammock. And so that video, along with yours, and you had one on TikTok. And if you don't follow, what's your TikTok? It's just
simply Sarah G. Same as my Instagram underscore with an underscore. Yeah.
Fucking underscore. I always forget that.
Well, I was doing this whole men ask me any question you've always wanted to ask a woman, which was Adam's idea, because I was like, I just feel like I've been pretty stale on TikTok.
It's all dick sucking, basically. And you're like, what can I do other than dick sucking?
What can I talk about that's not with a dick in my mouth? And so one guy asked, how do I approach women at a grocery store? And I just did this in 2 seconds, very quick in my car. I just said, don't fucking leave her alone. Don't approach her. Just not even if she's holding melons. Don't make a joke. Just leave her the fuck alone. Don't approach her. Yep. And men fucking got so mad, big mad in the comment section, attacking my looks, saying I'm never going to find a man, saying I'm damaged, saying I'm a fucking sociopath. I mean, just all of the above.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then women trying to explain, no, we don't want a strange person just coming up to us and trying to like approach us unless like we're in the mood to be talked to, which is a very different type of body language thing. And instead of men trying to understand that, they're saying, well, it's the public space. I have the right to approach anybody I want to. It's not illegal. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right.
There's another TikToker I follow, and she had this thing where she was having friends take a picture of her when she was out like in New York or something like that. And then one of her friends who was like standing back took a picture of what was going on. There's some guy stepped back behind them who's like down on his knees taking a picture up her dress while everyone's taking a picture of her.
Oh my God.
And she posted that, and the men in that are like, it's a public space. He can take whatever pictures he wants. He wasn't,
you can't.
Yeah,
oh my God.
So all of this this is just a whole thing that they were like, we need to start talking about. We've done an episode about male audacity to it. That like just the audacity of men to think that their opinion matters most of the time. when like the best men have been speaking for many, many years and have been the predominant voice for many, many years. And sometimes it's good. And this is ironic that I'm the one speaking saying this, but sometimes it's
I
good.
was gonna say, I was like, do you want to switch to me?
Just to shut the fuck up and listen. But I'm willing, but it is. And that's another example of male privilege, is that I will speak and men will sometimes listen to me, and then a woman will say the same thing that I say and no men will listen to her. And so we decided to try to move from male audacity to the more specific topic of male privilege.
Well, it goes back to the same thing of when we got all of our 1-star reviews back in February of 1 star because Sarah celebrated her birthday, and
oh, that's right.
They never gave you any 1-star reviews for how you responded during the pandemic. But I go out once, and I got fucking blown up. And I'm like, how is that? Like, what? In what world does that even make sense? Why is Adam never getting any hate for this shit when he does worse than me?
Oh, so much worse.
Okay, good. I was like,
yeah, oh no, 100%.
He did a lot worse than me, but I'm the one getting dragged. Are you fucking kidding me? But I come to expect it now, where it's like I'm just always gonna get shit on. So give me what you got, bitch. Come at me. Exactly. Someone attacked my fucking forehead. They're like Megamind over here. I'm like, well, that's a fucking new one, like come at me. I actually laughed at that one. I was like, guys, I have a 5-finger fucking forehead. I mean, it's so fucking old at this point that men's attacks are she's never gonna find a man,
right?
And she's ugly.
Yes.
She's a 7 at best with the blind. I mean, that's the shit that I get in my comments.
And it's that same mentality of when men ask a woman out and she says no, that immediately they become, oh, well, you're a fat bitch, or oh, I never had any interest in you anyways, or nobody wants to fuck you. Like, and they immediately like turn around because they get so defensive about being rejected. And that's really what this is too, is they're just so defensive about doing, because they've catcalled or approached women in strange areas and probably had a bad reaction and wanted to blame the woman. So then you saying no, don't go to approach women, and they're like, oh well, fuck her, she's wrong, like rather than willing to look at themselves. And I think that that all boils down to this concept of male privilege. And there's going to be people who say, well, male privilege doesn't exist, it's not real. And it is, of course, real. Anyone who says that it's not real is, I mean, we can put it kindly, but instead I'm just going to say you're a fucking moron. That you're probably a brainwashed incel who jerks off to your stepmom, and and probably follows Reddit threads where they talk about men's rights, and you think you're oppressed. I mean, that's what it boils down to, is that men who ignore male privilege are men who are so desperate to be oppressed. Like, they want to be the victim so badly. They're just like,
they had a tough upbringing, or something bad happened to them, or they were raised by the bootstraps of their family successes, but their family struggled, so their oppressed lives have to be respected in the same way women or people of color's lives have been affected in other ways. Like, yeah, I there was a whole article on just like, I am oppressed as a white male, and no, I'm not going to check my privilege because I'm not that privileged. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And it just goes back to like, well, everyone has a backstory. Sure, some people have really shitty upbringings. Some people still have really shitty lives, but it takes a second to go, I wonder how women might feel about this. I wonder what her background is, instead of just going, well, you're a woman, so your life must not be as hard as mine. Like, everyone has a backstory. So if that's your excuse for male privilege isn't real, you have to take into account everyone had rough shit happen to them. Mm-hmm. The severity of that is obviously different person to person, but everyone has gone through shit in their own way. So if that's your only backing for, I'm not privileged because I had a hard life, shut the fuck up.
Yes. And the one, that article about whatever, I checked my male privilege and I refused to apologize for it, or whatever it is, my white male privilege. Like, the things he's talking about is like his grandparents having a hard time, not him. And then, and like his parents working hard and struggling, and then he's basically like he's pointing out actually elements of people working hard, but not him. He's had it easy and still won't apologize for that. He wants to be, he's very entitled. That article is insane.
Isn't that privilege though? to not have to, because
well, and so that's the thing. So that's a different type of privilege, and that's actually I wish when they had come up with the concept, or whoever came up with it, I think there was an article. I think it was like a college about 10 years ago or whatever that kind of started coining it privilege. It would have been nicer to maybe I don't know. There is probably a better word for it, because people think privilege and they think like,
they're
rich.
better. I'm better off because I have this privilege. And that's where men go, no, I'm not. I'm not that privileged. I'm the same as you. And we get so stuck on that word.
Yes, and so they think that they it's exactly what it is. It's like that whole concept of like defund the police, and everybody got all upset about defunding the police when all that meant was just take the funding for some things and fund it to social workers to do the same work. Like it's just like all it meant was restructure it so that like the funding is going to different places that are going to benefit people better, but everybody got hung up on the word. So the word privilege.
The thing is, words do matter. And people attach themselves to those words. And I think this is why defund the police. I don't want to get political here, but like that's why these things become this big uproar, because words do matter. And yeah, in this instance and in other instances, things have been named in an incorrect way where they should have been named something else to better explain.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, I think but it takes a certain amount of ignorance to hear a word and then immediately be like, well, I'm not going to care about the nuances of where this word came from or the different definitions. God forbid. I'm just going to get stuck on this one word, and anything you say about this, I'm just going to ignore. I mean, that's just a certain level of like, I feel like
that's the incel level though that we're dealing with on
idiocy.
TikTok. Yeah.
So let's make that very clear that when we talk about male privilege, and we could have done this episode about white privilege, but of course we're talking about relationships and dating and everything. So while we don't really, because we're both white, talking about interracial dating is not really a topic that we have the knowledge to talk about because of our white privilege. We can talk about male privilege, and so we are going to talk about this, but it's not privileged as in meaning because you're a man you have more money or you have more prestige in society or that people just hand you things. That's not what male privilege means. It means
simple things day to day that I think a lot of us just forget about because it's just so ingrained in, well, like, this is just how it is for me. And they don't, when you strip that away, there's the privilege.
Yes. And
that's the walking alone. It's the very simple things that you go, oh shit, I didn't realize I can do that as a man, but you can't really feel safe doing that as a woman.
And this is the crazy thing. When I did a TikTok that I listed about 15 things that were considered male privilege, and I even had women comment and say, I didn't believe in male privilege until I heard your list. And then I realized how different, these are just things I took as being life. And then and so realizing that men don't have to do these things or don't go through this made me realize that it's a legitimate thing. And so we thought we would maybe give some examples so that maybe if you are stewing about this and thinking, there's no male privilege, that you can listen to this and maybe learn something. Probably not, because if you've already gotten this far and you're still not learning about this, then you might be a lost cause. But I'm hoping that maybe there's enough people listening who will be like, oh, I need to send this to my brother or my nephew or my dad or whatever, like maybe this discussion of male privilege will be useful for you. So let's talk about maybe some of the examples, actual concrete examples of male privilege in current society.
Here's a super simple one that you put on our list here that applies to me every fucking time. Buying Viagra and condoms without having to go to the doctors to get a prescription. You can't just buy birth control at any Target, Walmart, wherever. You have to typically, unless you do some kind of telehealth thing, which still requires more fucking work.
Yep.
You can't just go and buy it out of pocket.
Right. And especially even the very first time you have to go in and see a doctor, even though there have been plenty of gynecologists that have said it's unnecessary, that if a woman just wants birth control and she can research which one works for her, she should be able to just order it online, and it should be just something you can go get over the counter. But because the legislature tends to be a bunch of, old white men, they were like, no, women must have to get a doctor to tell them about birth control. But these are guys who have probably never found a clitoris in their entire lives as well.
Well, it's the same shit of me going to the doctor saying I want a certain birth control and then going, well, don't you want kids in the future? Do they say those things to men when it's reversible for me to get the birth control taken out? Obviously. Do they say those things to men when they get vasectomies? this is reversible, whatever. You sure you want to do this? You sure you don't want kids in the next 5 years? I highly doubt a doctor is saying that to a guy before he goes under the knife for a vasectomy. You sure you don't want kids in 5 years when it's reversible anyways?
And that's another excellent point. I was going to say too, with the Viagra thing, some people might say, oh, you need a prescription for Viagra. Yeah, you can just go to any site. There's a whole bunch of sites online that you can just do it without actually talking to a doctor. You answer 4 questions. The doctor will ask you about your health and then sends your prescription. So just so anybody who wants to argue about that, you don't actually need to get a real prescription to get Viagra. You don't need to see a doctor. It takes literally 30. I had a bunch of boner pills. I still have them somewhere. But yes, yeah. Cool. I mean, it was easy. Just because I did it on a whim, just to see, like, oh, it cost me $15, and I have a whole bottle of whatever it is, Cialis or one of those. But yeah, so the vasectomy IUD. Now the vasectomy is the one thing where sometimes they'll ask you to double check if you're gonna get a vasectomy. Like they and some doctors are just like,
really one
time. Yeah. Whereas I know women who have been trying to get a hysterectomy, which is not reversible, obviously, but they've been trying to hysterectomy since they were 21 because they knew they never wanted to have children. Right. And they have endometriosis, and a complete hysterectomy is actually one good way to help with the problems of that, because it gets rid of all the tissue that's in there. And couldn't find a doctor to do it because, well, you might want to have kids someday, and then and like, I will sign an affidavit saying I never want kids. Well, you might, so they we're not going to do it, and they'll just refuse to do a procedure.
That would be beneficial for the woman's health and reduce her pain that she experiences on a daily basis. But because she could want kids and could change her mind, I'm not going to sign off on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a one really solid, just the how the medical world works when it comes to male privilege, and then that obviously it goes to abortion as well. Like if we're going to talk about anything like related to women's rights as well, that male privilege totally exists in that entire realm, and healthcare in general. And just
you think about the instruments they use during a regular like pap smear created by men.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there too.
Created by men. In addition, the fact that things like endometriosis is not well understood yet because it's a woman's only problem. And so researchers never even tried to, like, they didn't ever approach it. If men had an endometriosis and had tissue growing in their scrotal sac that would cause extreme pain and all types of issues, you can guarantee that they would have been studying that throughout the entire 1900s and would already have it figured out. And it's also women not getting diagnosed with ADHD as easily because doctors just approached women differently for male privilege. But so that's like I said, that's a big one. But let's look at the small ones. Like, I mean, really the small ones, I think make you kind of step back and think about things. Like, for example, like we said, walk into your car. How do you walk to your car?
Typically I kind of look at actually I did this the other night. I was parking at night and I'm on the street and a car drove by and they stopped randomly at the stop sign and stayed there for way too long, awkwardly, and I got a bad feeling because it was a group of guys in this car and they saw me. So then I stayed in my car and parked it somewhere else because they came back around to drive past again. I don't know if men would have that same experience. I was like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but I don't feel good about it.
Right.
And they ended up not doing anything, but that was just me being super cautious because I just didn't feel good about it.
And that's that, you make a good point there that they didn't do anything, but that doesn't matter. It's the fact that there is an inherent threat that you don't know. It's always this argument that, people say not all men, not all men, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't know which men, then you have to act like all men.
Right.
Until you know otherwise. And so, but that inherent thought for your safety, and like when you go to, like, I'm sure when you go to the grocery store or the gym or whatever, and like you're walking out to your car, you're looking, you're just making sure that there's not like some random creepy dude around.
I know who's by me. You know, I know if there's someone behind me, I can get the vibe of like, oh, it's someone leaving like the same time as me, so I saw them, or there's someone lurking, I need to like go inside, or I just am more aware of those things. And I also think that's because I grew up with a parent who was like, there was a lot of kid snatching and things that like was just being like more aware of those things growing up, that I'm hyper aware of it now. And like, I don't even have kids to be like, oh, I don't want someone to steal my kid. I'm just like me, but I'm like, I mean, I would feel sorry if someone tried to kidnap me because I'm just going to make your life hell. But like,
oh yeah.
But like in the same breath, it's like I have to worry about that someone could approach me and grab me because I'm a woman, where men don't necessarily have to worry about guys leaving. There was this whole thing in Orlando. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent now. No. There's this whole thing in Orlando where guys would put cardboard on the back of certain cars. So they would kind of like case the parking lot to know when women were leaving their cars, going into like a Target or a Walmart and coming back out. And they would put like a water bottle on the front of the car, or cover their back window with cardboard so they couldn't see out of it. And they would want the woman to get out of the car to grab the thing so that they could grab her. It was a big thing like 2 years ago in Orlando that everyone was alerting everybody about it. But it was only fucking happening to women. Every single post I saw online, it was like, ladies, be cautious. Ladies, be cautious. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. But obviously we were being fucking targeted by men.
Yeah.
So yeah, not all men, but like that's something to consider.
That has nothing, like it's inherent in it as a woman to just have to watch out for those things. I mean, even like in Orlando, when you would go out downtown and if you went back to your car, you always just kind of were careful. If you felt uncomfortable, you had your hand around your keys just in case,
like I'm gonna stab someone with my key. Yeah, right. But yeah, I would hold it like that too.
Like that, just in case, because like that's just. Do you men do that? Men don't do that. That's why it's such a perfect example of male privilege, is that when I walk to my car at the grocery store, I don't even worry about my keys until I'm at the door, and then I'm fumbling from it. Like I wouldn't notice if there was a van parked next to me that was because they're not going to throw me in their van. I don't have that risk. And yes, men might have to watch out when they walk to their car in a dangerous area. That's the one thing. But for women, every area is a potentially dangerous area. So that's the level of that. That's where male privilege comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had that is a simple everyday experience where, depending on the parking lot, it's mostly like a Walmart parking lot, honestly, of just like, or just at night in some kind of parking lot with a lot of people just lurking around, that I'm extra cautious. Not because anyone's going to do anything, but just so I'm aware of the situation, because it's better for my safety. I can't just be blind to certain things.
Exactly.
I could, but I could be.
Well, you wouldn't. Dangerous. That's the thing.
Yeah,
because it's just ingrained. Because once again, women have to approach the world a little differently than men, and that's the whole. I think the whole goal of this episode is to really help men and maybe understand that these are things that we just take for granted, that you take for granted in a very different way. That you take for granted that you have to be observant when you walk out to your car. Men don't have to be. And not all the time, obviously. Once again, I want to, because we're gonna have people be like, 1 star, I have to be careful when I walk out to my car at night and I live in a bad part of town. Yeah, well, no fucking shit. All right, but we're talking about all the time. Let's take it back from something slightly less dangerous, but still just another example of male privilege. I have never in my entire life ever been told to smile by a stranger. I've never been told that I look prettier if I would smile, or that cheer up, that I'm going to get more flies with honey than vinegar, or any of those things.
No one's ever told you that.
In my life. No, not a single time. How many times have you been told to smile, do you think, in your life?
Even recently, I want to say pre-pandemic, when people could actually see my face.
Right. Masks have helped with that a lot.
Now I can't remember the last time, but I know pre-pandemic, it was like walking into some kind of department store and some guy standing outside smoking a cigarette was like, "It's a beautiful day. Why the frown?" He didn't say, "Smile, you'd be prettier," but it was a comment similar to that.
Yeah. They're all different variations on that, but yes. No one's ever said that to me either. It's a beautiful day. Why the frown? Nobody's ever said, like when I walked in with sunglasses on, nobody's been like, take your sunglasses off so I can see your eyes. Like nobody says that, like it's.
Oh, that shit pisses me off so much. I'm like, bro, fuck you. I'm not having a good fucking day. No one fucking asked you. Leave me alone. But it goes back to just leaving me the fuck alone when I'm out in public. Like, the comments are unnecessary. The looks are unnecessary. The photos of me are unnecessary. Like in that that example from the TikTok.
Right.
That's unnecessary. Like, it's so uncalled for. And people still don't think it's privilege.
Yeah, the men don't understand. But I'll tell you, just like men who are listening, then if you've never been told to smile, and if you're someone who's told a woman to smile, you're like, what? I'm just trying to cheer her up or whatever. That your opinion on her is a time when you should shut up. You don't have there's no need to hear your unwashed ass opinion about things all the time. It's okay just to keep them to yourself and go write in your journal if you want to. But like, if you would not tell a man to smile or to turn that frown upside down, or he looks prettier if he was smile, then why would you tell a woman? And that boils down to this male privilege of feeling like
I want to make her smile. I want to make her day because she'll smile after I tell her that. No, she's only doing that so you leave her the fuck alone. Because if she doesn't smile after you say that, then you're gonna keep coming with the fucking comments, and there's gonna be an altercation. So she smiles just to get the fuck out of the situation, not because you made her day.
Exactly. Yeah, you didn't make her day at all. And that's the thing. So sometimes men will get upset, like, well, why do women get so mad about these small things? Because it all adds up. It's cumulative. You know, you're always worried about men, and all of a sudden you have strange men commenting on things and saying things that they have no reason to say, and it's just going to escalate. So that when a woman snaps, it's like, I don't want to fucking smile. Go fuck yourself. It's reasonable that she says that. It's 100% reasonable, and what you should take from that is to step away and say, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Not, oh well, she's being a bitch. She's not being a bitch.
I was just being nice. That's so uncalled for. No, you weren't fucking being nice. You were the one who was being uncalled for.
Well, because here's the other thing too, and this is a lot of this is when men tell women to smile and things like that, it's a transaction. It's like men who complain that feminism has ruined the world. Like, I can't even hold the door for a woman. You can absolutely hold the door for people, but what a lot of guys do is it's transactional. When they do this, they expect something in return.
Do you want me to suck your dick? Thank you.
Well, I don't know if they usually expect that.
No, I don't think they expect that.
But they just even just like then they expect like that it creates this you owe them type of thing, and gives them an opening when you might not want to engage with them in any way. And so they do these things. Oh, I'm just holding the door. Oh, I'm just just complimenting you. Whatever. It's all transactional in nature for these guys, and that's what makes it very problematic.
Well, and I will say I've had lots of men open the door for me, and that's it. Yes. They open the door, I say thank you, and we go on our way. That's fine. A normal human to human interaction. It's when it continues after that where they're like still looking at you like, am I gonna get a cookie for holding the door open? That's where I'm like, I could have opened it myself.
Yeah. Well, then they keep wanting to like chat or something. Like now they think you're friends, basically.
Yeah, because exactly. They did
that. Yeah. All right, let's move on to another one. Do you want to have kids? Oh, what are you gonna say?
Oh no, go ahead.
Do you want to have kids?
Currently, no.
How many times have people who are not your parents asked you about that when you asked you a question and then asked you why not, or told you that you'll change your mind someday?
Recently, I haven't had that question asked in like 5 years because people know not to.
Well, 5 years. Okay, but let's say.
So I was gonna say, I think when I was
so 5 years ago when you were 25 or 24.
Yeah.
So pretty young to the world is open or whatever. And if you told people you didn't want to have kids, what was the reaction usually?
Oh, well, because I was 24. Oh, well, you'll probably change your mind when you get older. You're still young. Yeah. Because I'm young and naive. It's not you know yourself because you're an adult. It's, you're not 30 yet. So you don't really know yourself. But I'm like, does that age cap ever leave? Is it going to be like, oh, well, you're not 35 yet, so you don't really know. Oh, you're not 40 yet. You don't really know. And then it's like, well, by 40, it's probably too late. So yeah, I guess you really know you don't want kids. At what point do we just keep pushing that age to where, oh, you're an adult and you can make that decision? I respect that. Okay, cool.
If you did a TikTok where you said that you are never having children, you have no desire to have children, and that's your choice, how many men do you think would comment and
I'm on the wrong side of TikTok.
Well, I'm saying, but how many men do you think would comment and be like, well, what's the point of being in a relationship if you're not going to have kids? Like, who basically think that you should be a breeder. How many breeding things have you seen on the internet before? Like, just generally.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know it exists. I don't personally experience it, but I know women who do experience it because it's not a traditional value if you get married and don't have kids. A lot of this is rooted in traditional old school America values. I open the door. I can talk to a woman in public.
I mean, it's okay. Yes, it's rooted in old school traditional values because it's been systemically misogynistic since that period. I mean,
That's been the proper way.
Yeah.
Because women haven't had the voice to go, actually, fuck off, because we didn't have that voice. So that's what men say, oh, well, I want to go back to the good old days when men could open doors for women or whatever. And women are like, I couldn't own a fucking bank account.
Right, exactly.
The fuck? No, I don't want to go back to that, but you could open a door and talk to me in a grocery store? Fuck that.
Yes. And you look at like if you take a woman and a male politician and they're both child free, reporters are going to ask the woman how she, how that affects her ability to, she doesn't want to be a mother. They're not going to ask the man that. Yeah, I've never been asked except by my parents about like why I don't have kids and don't I really want kids and all this stuff. And and so that's a big aspect too, is that male privilege as a man means that I'm free from that. If I choose not to have children, nobody's questioning if I have value as a human being anymore. And that happens for so many women, that their value of a human being is tied into their ability to have children just because they're a woman.
I do think that is I was going to say, I do think that is changing slightly, but maybe that's just my inner circle where I don't associate with people who are going to say, I don't have value if I don't have kids. Like they're not a part of my life. So right. I also think it's my circle that I say,
well, if you and I got interviewed for the podcast, if we got interviewed about our lives and about where we're going to be going in the future, I would guarantee that if people would ask you if you're going to have kids, wouldn't ask me. Like, it's just one of those things, like that when people see a woman doing something, one of the questions that always pops up is their family life. And if they have kids, how do you balance your job with your kids?
That's true. That is a question.
Nobody ever asks a father, how do you balance your work with your kids? And so that's what I'm saying. Like it's just mentality is men don't have to worry about that. But yeah, so
they don't balance. They don't have to show up to the fucking appointments. And the women get no credit for showing up to every fucking appointment when they're pregnant, but men get a fucking pat on the back and a lollipop for showing up to 2 of her appointments throughout her entire pregnancy. Exactly. What the fuck?
That's a big one that I think some men are going to get really upset about because they're probably really good parents. But there's a lot of men out there who get like praised for doing the bare fucking minimum. Like, a dad who's just like, he
school.
Yeah, the mom's sick one day, and so they actually like managed to do everything for a day. And and they're like, oh, you're such a good dad, such a good, whatever. And then mom does these things every single fucking day. And it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be praised, but men get praised because that's our privilege. We get praised for doing the bare minimum when it comes to parenting, because society has determined that that's not what our role is.
Well, men are busier. Men are making more money. So when men have time to do those family things, they get a cookie.
Right, exactly. They get a cookie. And of course, they're not busier. They're not making more money a lot of times either. That's even the best thing part is that sometimes it's the woman is still the breadwinner and being the full-time mother, and the husband is doing the bare minimum.
Can we go into jobs for a second? Because you said this one, and I said, wow, I have been told this at a past job that I was too emotional at work.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
You're just being emotional in this situation. You're not qualified because you're too emotional for things. I highly doubt a man is being told that. And it's men who have told me I'm too emotional.
It's always men that tell it, yes.
My female bosses have never said I'm being too emotional about a situation. It has always been my male bosses who have said that.
And not to once again get political, but I do want to just mention that one of the biggest things people kept trying to say to tear down Hillary Clinton when she was running for president was that a woman is too emotional to be president. And then we ended up with a toddler who ended up throwing temper tantrums all the time and having all caps arguments on the internet. And men tell women that they're too emotional all the time because men are projecting. That's what a lot of this is. Men are extremely emotional. Men are much more emotional than women are.
Right.
Women have had to, and I just recently did a video on this. Women have had to tone police themselves for years in order to rein in their emotions, in order to avoid enraging men who can't handle their emotions. Because so many men are too fucking stupid that they don't see anger as an emotion. Like, well, I'm stoic. I don't cry. I'm a real man. And then they get angry and punch holes in walls. And they don't understand that that is emotional. That is emotional on a huge level. That is
I'm a big man though who can punch a wall, so that's just that's not emotion.
So, so that happens. So these men are projecting their own like emotional volatility onto women when this happens, and it's really ridiculous because women are able to rein in. Because another thing that is another example of male privilege is that women have to tone police because they know that if they enrage a man who might be violent towards them, and like when they reject a man, like when you reject somebody, somebody asks you out and you say no, a lot of women have to do it very politely.
Instead of being like, you crazy, because guys will say, you crazy bitch, I don't want to deal with you anymore, fuck you, whatever. Men can say that to women, but yeah, exactly. If women were saying that to men, we would be in danger.
Yes.
I'm in danger. Yeah, it would not be good.
Women
so we have to
cannot
be
reject
very
somebody
safe.
without worrying about it escalating into violence, and that's a huge element of male privilege.
Yeah, what if he snaps after I say this? Which then also goes back to being in sexual situations where what if something bad happens to me because he's aggressive? And I've had that happen with the friendly neighbor or whatever of my safety's at risk because he doesn't understand consent. And what if he snaps? And how do I let him down easily because I don't feel safe around him? I mean, I get domestic violence can happen like a woman to
it
a
can
man.
happen both ways, yes.
It can happen both ways, but the percentage is sways a lot harder on the men doing something to the women.
Yes, men are by far the highest number when it comes to the aggressors in stalking, in assault, of course, in rape and violence, and murder as well. And so women have to be constantly aware this person has the capacity to severely hurt me if I'm not nice enough to them. And men do not have to worry about that on a day-to-day basis. Yes, there's certain situations where men are going to have to be concerned about that, like whoever I'm talking to could hurt me. Yes, if they're in a dangerous situation. But women have that dangerous situation
every fucking time.
Exactly, 24/7. And then that also goes into having to consider what you're wearing. Men don't like sit there and think, am I putting myself at a higher risk of assault if I'm showing, I don't think about,
showed a little nipple or too low of a V cut.
Is this shirt going to show a little too many nipples? Too many nipples.
Or if my pants are too tight and she can see the outline of my dick, am I going to get assaulted?
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't think they're thinking that. I'm thinking they think, I'm showing my dick. I'm gonna get fucked tonight. Not.
I don't ever worry about, hey, is this black shirt that I'm gonna wear? Is this one showing off my my gut just sexy enough? Am I gonna get harassed by people if I walk down the street with it? No man thinks about those things, but women have to think about it constantly. You have to check, am I wearing something that's going to get unwanted attraction? And then, of course, you could be wearing just a full-on, you could wear a sheet over your entire body with just eye holes, and you could still attract unwanted attention. It's not women's fault, but women do have to consider these things on a constant basis.
At the club, well, you were wearing that. I mean, it goes down to our clothes. It goes down to our fucking menstrual cycles of women being fucking to go back to the emotional thing. Women being too emotional, but that emotion is probably because they're on their periods.
Yes. Yeah, if no man has ever had to worry about making an important decision and have someone be like, well, are you on your period right now? Like, is this why you're feeling this way? Is this why you're getting upset?
Is your brain working? Because you're having that lady time, so I don't want to bother you on hard thinking and hard hitting questions if you're on your period. Like that affects me.
You seem like you're kind of like angry right now, or like, are you on your period? Like, is this why you're reacting like this? Like, no man has ever had to answer that question. No man has ever just been assertive and just been like, I have decided this, we're doing this, and someone called them a bitch because of it. They're assertive and they're applauded for it. But women, when if you're assertive at work or something, and like someone was like, it's likely not your work, but like in general, like in a general sense, women being assertive at work are likely to be called bitches and called names for being too assertive.
Yeah.
What was the study that they did? It was something about women, and it was a woman who was replying to emails, and when she would use her name, the responses she got were so different than when she used a man's name. And it was ridiculous, like to the level of like, even if she was asserting things and being direct, people would write back and like dismiss her. And when she was the man's name, they would like fall right in a line. And once again, this is a perfect example of male privilege, that if you are a man, you have this innate privilege that people take you more seriously.
Because you know what you're talking. You're even more
don't
experienced.
Dismiss you because of emotions and menstrual cycles and shit like that.
Yeah. Even in just a work experience, going back to the emails though, of men with the same education, the same experience, getting praised for stuff over a woman who did the same thing, but he's more experienced because he's a man. I have experienced that firsthand too. I'm like, he didn't fucking do anything interesting or innovative. What the fuck? Why is he getting the praise? Because he's buddy with his male coworkers and his male bosses, but I'm the one who's done all of the work and everything, and I have good rapport with him too, but because he's a man, I'm like, fuck this shit, you know? Like, why am I not being celebrated as much as the men in this office are? And it's like systemically, like, just breeds more men being caught up in this cycle. And then you're like, I can't even get a word in as a woman. And this is obviously in a working situation of like, I just have to leave this situation because I can. It's not easy, but I can leave the situation. But you never know, like, what situation you go into where you're just going to constantly be put down because you're a woman, and the men have already been like interbreeding with like that being part of their culture of just like me support other men because we're all oppressed. It's unspoken, but it does exist.
Oh, absolutely. And if the woman does get recognition or promotion from the job,
she was
then
fucking the boss.
Exactly.
Fucking the boss, which also, this is my first fucking job out of college. The only reason I was getting praise in meetings and exec boards was because I worked right for the general manager of this hotel, and I had closed door meetings with him. And other people in the office said the only reason I was getting praise from the general manager is because I was getting on my knees and sucking his dick.
Right.
But there were other men in the office who were sales managers who were fucking Neanderthals getting praise, and they fucking sucked.
Yep.
But I was only getting praise because I was sucking his dick. Like, come on.
Male privilege is so prevalent in many workplaces. There are going to be some workplaces where it's not, but in many workplaces, mostly corporate environments and white collar environments, and you're going to find that male privilege does happen. People have done studies that show that that a woman will suggest something, it'll be ignored. A man will suggest the exact same thing, and it'll be taken as good advice or a good suggestion within the same meeting, even.
Oh,
They've also shown that when they look at it gender blind, that women's work product gets better reviews, but when it's not gender blind, the male product gets better reviews because they know it's coming from a man. It's just innate male privilege and it becomes like an old, a white boys club, basically, is what a lot of it is. So the corporate environment generally is rife with male privilege. And white privilege, but
they're all the execs. They're all at the top. They want their other boys to succeed. They're not inviting those women to those golf outings or other things. They're also not giving women the opportunity to have their own separate outings for their group of people in the office. So they segregate themselves like that, and then they raise each other up, and then they wonder why women aren't happy in the workplace, and then they just blame it on we're too fucking emotional, and we're not smart enough, and we're not skilled enough. Did I sum up corporate America for you?
I think you did. I think you did.
Those are obviously toxic scenarios, but a lot more toxic scenarios exist than I think healthy ones do.
Oh, I think you're right. And I think we're slowly making changes, but it's taking a long time. And you really just have to get rid of the whole old guard and start over. But a lot of it, because it's innate, like it really is, we have this innate male privilege that women just have a disadvantage in so many situations. They have to work twice as hard. They have to be twice as good, even just to get half the respect. And that happens in so many fields. And that goes to one point that I think is a big one, is that men can fail without it being used against their entire gender, and women cannot. Like if a woman race car driver gets into does terribly in a race,
because she's a woman.
All the articles are like, should women be race car drivers? But if a man does that, nobody ever says that type of thing.
There are men getting last place in races too.
Exactly.
Where are their articles?
Nobody writes articles saying, should men really be so anytime, what happens is anytime a woman rises to something or tries a new role that is not traditionally a woman's role, but is now starting to become, more, but it's predominantly male, you find they always look at it like they're like the test subject for their gender, and if they screw up, then all of a sudden it's, yep,
there's no more.
women shouldn't do that, and men do not have that happen to them, and men do not have the fact that they're men used against them in this way.
It goes back to just job opportunities for women, like women in STEM, women in this,
Yes.
women in that. Like they are trying to raise women to be in an equal playing field with men in so many different work sectors.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not trying to, like, men are already infiltrating all of that, and they realize the value women have, but they don't ever get that voice. We don't ever, a lot of the times women don't get a seat at that table.
Right.
And men go, well, it's because they're not qualified or whatever. I'm like, well, have you talked to her?
Yeah.
Have you given
bullshit.
her the same opportunity that male counterpart got? No, probably not.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's get into a couple more maybe general ways that male privilege is out there. I think
just shaving, just general body care.
Yes, that was the one I was going to talk about too. Yeah, that
Because
grooming.
I had another TikTok about shaving, and God forbid people are like, no, a woman must be like this, her hair must be kept like this, or she's not quote unquote clean, or she's not valuable because she didn't shave her legs. How many guys get shit on for not having a clean haircut or not have, I don't know, your balls shaved by women? I don't think we shit on men like that.
Not in any way. No, like that's the thing is like men can groom themselves however they want, and random strangers walking by aren't going to feel the urge to like weigh in on anything. But God forbid a woman just go outside not looking perfect, and people feel like they have the right to say something. That's what it is. It's this audacity that men don't have to deal with, but women do.
Well, I also feel like when women go out in public, sometimes it feels like there's a spotlight on us that when we go out and we look great, there's a spotlight of the male attention and the male gaze. And when we go out looking like shit, there's a spotlight of the same thing, but they're going to be critiquing us.
Right.
So we can't win any fucking way.
Exactly. Because you'll see these like the men's rights activists and these misogynists will say like, well, women put on makeup and everything just to they want to be talked to, like they're doing it because they want us to talk to them, and you're right, you can't win, because if you do it just because you for yourself or whatever, or you just don't want to be like, you don't want to be made fun of for not looking like makeup on or something, then either way you're fucked. Like it's a complete ridiculous damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
It was the same thing going back. I mean, corporate America has really fucked me over, guys, but it goes back to not looking. And this was another comment I got from a previous boss, not looking the part at work because my hair wasn't done, because I wasn't wearing.
Wow. See, that's a fantastic
I didn't look
example.
nice every single day. So if I wanted a promotion, I had to look a certain way. And I'm like, fucking Joe down the fucking hall looks like shit all the time. Does anyone say anything about his goddamn appearance and his scraggly beard or anything? Fuck no, they don't. But God forbid I fucking work out in the morning, don't have a chance to do my hair, and I throw it in a fucking top knot and then wear a regular outfit. That's going to get looked at first. And other women in my department were also shit on because they didn't do their fucking hair every single day. I'm like, at the time I had long hair, I'm like, we all have fucking long hair. We don't have the time. It's hot. I shouldn't have to even explain why I look a certain way. You hired me to do a job. Who gives a fuck what I look like? Just let me do the job. And goes back to blindly look at my work. If it's good, that's all you should be critiquing. Shut the fuck up.
Yes, shut the fuck up is a good
way
to.
I had so many fucking toxic people in my work life. Jesus.
I think that when we look at even on a large scale too, the fact that as a man, every hero, every TV show, every movie that especially, and it's starting to change, but hasn't been about me, and especially as a white male, has been I'm the hero. I see myself on TV, and then this is why so many men I think have issues sometimes, is because we get to see ourselves on the big screen as the hero so much that whenever like there's a female character who's the hero or whatever, it's like groundbreaking, and like when Black Panther was did so well, it's like, oh look, there's a black character gonna be a hero and it'll be a successful movie, and like everyone's like amazed by this nonsense. It's like, why? Of course they could be like, everyone wants to see themselves represented, but we have grown up in a society where we are always the hero. Like whatever happens, like there's I'm like, oh, I identify with that character. Or I can watch a movie and I can see myself in the majority of the characters because they're all, different versions of white men. And so that's a huge element of male privilege, though, is that we've always seen ourselves represented in media and in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm. And representation matters. That was actually something that was covered in one of my comms classes in college. And we broke down what percent of TV shows have male main characters, what percent have female, what percent has Asian, what percent has Black, and broke down Hispanic or whatever. Yep. And it just kept getting smaller and smaller. And it was like 80% were men. And then it was like women. And then of that, it was like 2% was what, and this was, I want to say this was in 2013. And it was like people with disabilities was even, not even a fraction. Like the only person we had who we could present on at that time of someone with a disability were characters from Glee. Like that's how that was groundbreaking with Glee having that kind of representation. And we still have a long way to go, but we're getting so much praise now for this and that. And I'm like, yeah, because this representation matters. And it goes back to your point. It's always been white men. It has always been that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's funny that one of you and I both have a kind of a favorite trash TV show. It's called Big Sky, but the main characters are all women.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Like the protagonists are all women. There's 3 women in a detective agency and a trans woman as well, and they are the main characters of the show. And it's nice and it's refreshing to do that. Not, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it, then cut out the next 10 seconds. But they kill the only male main character in the very first episode. And you don't expect it, but it was a great way to do it. But yeah, and so that's a big thing. And then it also is more than just entertainment industry. It's major religions. Major organized religions will always take the man side in relationship arguments and relationship decisions. It's always, it's always the woman never has the power or the right to step away. It's always they take the man's side, and that is male privilege. Is that that if you're like, oh, well, let's go get a church counselor to talk about things, they're gonna take your side, and that's a huge aspect of male privilege. Is just we have all of the religions behind us and all the entertainment industry supporting us and promoting us and telling us we're amazing. Like, that's male privilege. Women have to fight actively against that to get even the slightest bit of rights.
It's constantly, and that's what I was going to say. It's constantly fighting to go, no, don't fucking ask me that question. No, you're wrong. The reason why no one asked me why I don't want kids or if I'm going to have kids anymore is because I fought like hell against these people so that they wouldn't fucking ask me again, But I had to fight to now not be bothered by it. Yep. And if in a church counseling situation, I would have to fight for maybe that church leader to think twice the next time. No guarantees though. And it's like, why do I have to fight for this? Shouldn't this just be easy? Why do I have to fight for the fact that my hair's not done at work? Can't I just do my fucking job? Right. Why do I have to smile when I go to a grocery store? Can't I just go to the fucking grocery store? Why do I have to be bothered when I have headphones in? Can't I just go on a fucking run? I mean, I could keep this shit going for an hour if I want.
I love that you thought that this was going to be the episode where I ranted for a full hour.
It was only 30 seconds. Give me that.
No, I'm just saying. No, you've had a lot to say, which I'm glad. You were worried you weren't going to have a lot to say, but I was like, I kind of thought that you were when we were getting to this. That you were gonna have plenty of things, and it's good because it is something that is worth being passionate about. But I just thought that was funny.
I can look at how other people on the other side of the fields think and see, and I'm like, that might be why you're thinking like this, but you're wrong.
Right.
I can see why you got to that conclusion. Going back to like that white male privilege article, I can understand where you got to that conclusion. But you need to open your eyes to this other perspective. Yes. And it's the inability to change that perspective that is pissing off all the incels and all the trolls and comments and shit because they can't see the other perspective. And the other perspective is like, bro, we've been here. We've been fighting. How can you not see this?
And I think that's kind of a good way to wrap it up. There's one other example in Maria, but I want to let that this is kind of a good way to wrap up that aspect of it. Is being a man doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It doesn't mean that you're like, because you're a man, you're like, oh, male privilege. Male privilege isn't saying that you're bad. It's not saying that you're wrong. It's saying that when a woman talks about an experience that she's having, instead of arguing with her and getting defensive, you should respect the fact that you have a privilege she doesn't, and that she sees the world a little differently and has to act in a different way. And that's how you build empathy. And that's when you shut the fuck up and listen. That instead of arguing with her about it, that you listen and you acknowledge the fact that maybe you don't know fucking everything. That maybe what she has to say is important because it gives you a perspective that you would never otherwise have in your shriveled dick life.
Why's it gotta be shriveled dick?
Because I don't want to make body shame. I'm just saying shriveled because it's just, I just want
soft,
like
just a soft
just like
dick.
little,
Glassy penis.
little,
Okay, got
little
it.
walnuts and whatever, but.
Okay, go on.
But that like you don't have this perspective. You're never going to have this perspective. So your male privilege has blinded you to this perspective. So when a woman speaks about something that she's going through, especially if it has anything to do with like sexism, harassment, safety, power dynamics, anything like that, that's your turn to shut up. That's your turn to listen and just learn. And maybe next time you actually can just be there to be supportive. That's the role of male privilege, is just understanding. And same with, like I said, same with white privilege. That if like, and just a quick example of this is that like if you have a friend of a person of color who's afraid of getting pulled over by the cops, and you're like, well, just do what they say and you'll be fine. That's you being an asshole. Your white privilege is telling you that that's all you have to do. I've gotten in arguments with police officers when I've gotten pulled over and called them out and been, because I can do that. I have this white male privilege. I can get away with that. And I would never expect a friend of mine who's black to do that, because they can get murdered. And that's the example that you can use to think about, oh, maybe I should put myself in someone's shoes instead of arguing with them when they're trying to tell me about something that happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
And don't make yourself the victim. That's another whole thing. Like this whole thing, like,
well, it's because now I'm inconvenienced because I have to listen to your opinion. That now I'm the victim because I have to change my thought process.
Right. Like,
how does that make you the victim? Shouldn't you want to be in a perfect world? Shouldn't you want to be challenged and continue to grow as a person? 5 years ago, I was shitty. I would like to think,
me too. Yeah.
5 years ago, I was not perfect. I made a lot of fucking mistakes, even 2 years ago, even fucking 6 months ago. But I build on those learned experiences of, oh, I should do this next time. Ooh, that was kind of shitty. Ooh, I learned from this, and go, okay, I'm going to build myself into a better person.
Yes.
For better interactions with other humans. Instead of men like those in my comments saying, why would I want a woman's perspective on how to fish when she's the fish?
Yeah, that shit is just
whatever that bullshit is. And I'm like,
you don't ask a fish how to catch.
Why am I me? And why don't you respect my opinion in general? Like, if you go back to just the baseline, we're all people. No matter the gender. What's that face? Maybe not.
Some of them might not be people. I really don't know. I think they're just primordial ooze that drip down their mother's thighs and somehow formed consciousness.
I'm saying I'm trying to set the ground. I'm pouring the concrete to set the ground floor.
The foundation here. Yeah.
The foundation. We're all human. We're all people. Okay. We all want to be respected and listened to. So if you're having a hard time changing a perspective, listen first before accusing and playing the victim. Just listen. It just takes kindergarten skills, elementary skills to go, how does this human want to be talked to and communicated with this other human? Wow, does it really go back to communication all this way?
It does.
It really fucking does. Yeah. Look at that. A full fucking circle.
I know. The communication is so important, and a big part of communication is knowing when not to talk and when to listen. And if, like I said, if someone is telling you a story about an experience that happened to them, and you're trying to get to, well, how do I make this about me? Or how do I, and then you get defensive, or how do I judge this person for this? That's when you are in the wrong. That's 100%. And instead you should say, okay, well, maybe I don't have all of the facts because I have certain things that happen to me in life that protect me from certain things that they don't have that protection. So maybe instead I should just listen and say, well, okay, I'm glad I'm not in that position in my life. And you should be happy and not try to be a victim and say, well, what about me? Well, and all this
I want the attention. It's not about
bullshit.
At the end of the day, it's not about the attention. And I think a lot of people want to feel important all the time.
Yes.
It's not your birthday every fucking day. So you're not going to get the attention every single day. So when one person speaks up and says, I have an issue with this, or hey, whatever, that's not for you to go, well, I have an issue with this. That's for you to shut the fuck up and listen to what that person is saying.
Yes. Yep.
But we all want the attention. We all want the spotlight. We all want to feel important. So everyone has to chat and go off at the same fucking time. And then nothing's productive. And then women still have to just keep fucking fighting.
And if you're going to be an ally, you should actually be vocal about this as well. And I have one, I think, final rant about this. And this is going to be that when you get that 1 star, don't they know that there's female privilege? Okay, let's get into it. There's no such thing as female fucking privilege. When we're in a patriarchal society that's run by systemic misogyny, toxic masculinity, and ingrained male privilege, women are the oppressed and marginalized group. And so any advantages that you're going to see, like if you're in one of those men's rights bullshit or, whatever, that's just the red pill, stupid, obnoxious douchebaggery, they'll say things that are like, that, we're female privilege. And one thing they'll say is like custody, child custody, and a divorce. And that is a function of the patriarchy itself. Society says, oh, women are designed to be caretakers, so they have to be the caretaker. So then you're going to complain when the court gives the mother's custody. You can't complain about both that thing when society has already dictated this. Male-dominated society has dictated this. Even including with that, studies have shown that if men actually step up to the plate and try to get custody, put in the effort, they'll actually get it. And so that's not some female privilege. It's still actually male privilege because a judge will give a man custody of his children even if she proves abuse in many situations. Secondly, people will say things like, I know but,
and I continue.
Yes, and I will continue. Another argument, quote unquote argument, because these are just disingenuous bullshit arguments that have no basis in reality, is suicide. Men commit suicide at a higher rate, so that's female privilege, is that they don't. Actually, yeah, I know.
What?
But actually, the reality.
That's an argument?
That's an argument, yes.
Okay.
Actually, men commit suicide. They have a higher suicide success rate because they choose highly violent methods because they're toxic and stupid, like guns. Okay, or whereas women actually have a much higher suicide attempt rate. They just don't tend to go with things that are massively violent, and so they survive a lot. And so that's very different. And then another one is prison, that men get harsher sentences in prison for the same crimes. And that's female privilege, apparently. Well, the fact is the society says that women can't handle it, basically. So it's toxic masculinity, like benefiting women by saying that they're weak. And so that's not a privilege. And then finally, if there are any additional advantages that women manage to eke out of a system that is designed to oppress them and marginalize them and keep them down, and they are capable of manipulating that system to their benefit, that's not a privilege. That's impressive. Like that is awesome. That means that they are like, women are able to take advantage of a system that is designed to take away their advantages. And no, getting free drinks at a bar is not a privilege.
I was waiting for that one being a privilege, or looking hot in certain scenarios to get a raise or promotion because you look like you're fucking someone. Well, that's female privilege. No, she's playing the system that's already stacked against her.
Exactly. And she's using people who are pieces of garbage to objectify her for her own benefit. That is not female privilege. That is using idiot men, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You gotta
Absolutely
work what you got.
Sometimes people will say that some of these men that'll argue will say that by supporting male privilege, with me, they'll tell me that by me talking about this and saying these things, that basically I'm saying that women are weak and that women can't do things.
At what point did you say that? In this entire episode, at what point did you say?
But that's the thing. By talking about privilege, you're just saying that women can't succeed in life. And I'm like, no. Just acknowledging that something exists doesn't mean that like it doesn't it doesn't tear women down. Trying to ignore it and trying to be like, oh, this isn't real, that's what tears real women down. And then so women who manage to to get equality even with the society designed like to oppress them, that's impressive. And it's not saying that they're weak, it's actually talking about their strengths. So that's a lot of the anticipatory rebuttal of some of the arguments that I think people listening might have.
So if you would like to give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, feel free to do that after this episode, because I see the 1 stars coming in, baby, after everything today.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody, nobody's gonna be like, 1 star. He said I had male privilege, and so did Sarah, and I'm so mad that I'm gonna go jerk off to her face because I can't handle real life or whatever.
I really hope someone's jerking off to my face other than my boyfriend. Is that female privilege?
I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't know.
What is that? I don't know. Okay. And to wrap up, so I already talked about 5-star rating and reviews after all this shit show of an episode. If you do listen on Spotify, feel free to follow us on there so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also watch this entire episode on YouTube of Adam talking into a phone that's sitting on a tub of mayonnaise at youtube.com/datingkindasucks. And just like we shouted out our new Patreon subscribers today for joining, you can also join our Patreon for as little as $5 a month at patreon.com/DKS podcast. Oh, and Adam won't talk? No.
I wasn't listening, so I don't know what you talked about and what you said.
All right, I'll just continue this on. If you want to argue with Adam just actually hit 50,000 followers on TikTok, which is really great. You can follow him at Adam Heavitable on TikTok, Avitable on Instagram. You can follow me at Simply Sarah G on Instagram or TikTok, and then you can also follow our Instagram at Dating Kinda Sucks, as well as our Facebook group, where there are.
I can do this one.
Oh,
you can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast, where you can get advice and share stories there as well.
You want a cookie? Oh, you showed up for this part.
I know. Sorry, I zoned out because I was thinking about something, and then I didn't realize which ones you talked about, and I was like, oh, I can't participate now. I don't know. But I would also actually, if you have other examples of male privilege that we didn't talk about, there are many, many examples. I'd love for you to send them to us, DM us to wherever. And I think you gave our email address, but if not, datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com.
No, you listened. Wow, you were listening.
No, I just took a guess that you didn't say that one. So you can email that as well, but we'd love to hear if you can come up with other examples as well. And is that it?
We'll be back. Yeah, I think we're finished. We'll be back in another 2 weeks with a brand new episode.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no luck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are 2 of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers he plucks. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.